Does Purdy have to play like a top 10 quarterback in order for San Francisco to make a run at the bowl or to win the bowl? I'll say.
It's an interesting question. I think
because
like number one,
how bad can the quarterback play be for them to win it?
This is where I think so interesting year in the sense of a lot of other years. I think we would look at the Niners and say like they would be the no doubter, like the favorite out of the conference. Like the Niners are so well built that it's like to answer the question with where this is not my actual answer. You get what I'm saying? It would be my answer if it wasn't for a certain somebody in Philly. So you stick with what I'm saying? Where it's like normally you could kind of coast by. And he kind of like, he didn't have to play perfect until the bowl, and we can kind of ride it out against worse teams, and as long as our defense plays really well, our run game works really well. But when you come up against Philly, like I do think he's going to have to play like lights out football. That's going to be the one where it really comes down to, just like last year, we didn't get to see how it was going to go last year.
Right.
That's almost like you're looking at it in a sense, if you're an NFC fan, you're saying to yourself, is it certain? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But you're saying, I got about a 75% chance I'm looking at that come right before February, late January, I'm going to be watching the San Francisco 49ers. Walk into Philly Stadium, and I'm going to be watching a fucking dogfight because that's just how it feels at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy has been playing lights out recently, and it's like for the value, you really can't complain. And it's like there's no improvement that you would get in the market right now.
No, this is best. Like we've been saying, this is best case scenario. Where, like we say though, too, if you're the Niners, this has got to be the year. Brock's not taking, like, you got lucky that he didn't tell you motherfuckers, I need the bag this year. Like,
he could have very easily
He literally said, blessings to Niners Nation. Blessings. Y'all gave me a shot. I'm going to respect it. I'm going to ride one more year on this piss pay contract with the production I'm giving you. But him and his agent are going to sit down this offseason and they're going to have a hard heart and be like, bro, not only do you need to get paid, but I got to get paid keeping you as my client. Like, let's make something work here. Because if I'm not just going to let you just walk out there, get hurt, go from being able to claim $50 million. Well, he's not going to take that. You being able to go demand $40-30 million from this team to having it shoot down to nothing because we don't even know what your future is. Fuck that. He's going to say, let's sit down, let's figure out a good number, let's go to the Niners front office and let's make a deal happen. Because there's no way that's not going to be the case.
And it has to happen because you're going to have to also pay Ayuk at some point, and Debo just got paid. So it's like, what are you going to do with that? I mean, like Kittle's getting older, Trent Williams getting older. Like this is the narrative we stayed with. Like the Niners really have to do it this year.
No, like I don't think, because I will keep saying it where I think Niners fans are kind of, I've been in this territory before. I know how it is. You're so in the moment of fuck it, we're dominant right now. It do not matter. It do not matter because I know I'm going to watch my team play good next week. But you got to start thinking to yourself, like, after this year, if this isn't the year, like, there is really going to be ramifications. When that paycheck comes for Brock Purdy, there's a big difference when you're paying a guy $200 and like like $2 million over the year with, I'm sure, like total like $2 million versus the $40-30 million he's going to demand. I'm sorry, like you will see the difference in the cap. You will see a big difference when you let go even just a couple guys. It makes all the difference. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, obviously, the injury on the other side of the ball to Hufanga is big. Like he played really, really well.
Jair Brown stepped in though, and like I had to give a shout out to him. Really, really, really impressive.
Yeah,
for stepping in and getting your first like real reps. Not his first reps of the year, but like really the first real defensive reps.
And you also have Nick Bosa and Chase Young on the other side of the ball, and it's just like I don't really know how much there is to say on the Niners other than the fact that like they are a superpower that just hasn't been able to get it done in the big game. And this is really their chance because if you think about it, like they're not the same core as they were when they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl where Jimmy G overthrew that guy. But it's like the remnants of that team is kind of still around. And it's like at some point it's going to be like, okay, they couldn't do it.
No, that's this year really does have to be the year because also when you said it made me start thinking, when there's somebody else they're going to have to re-sign after this year? A man by the name of Chase Young, who they just traded for.
If they want to keep him, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, too, is like, you got to keep him at this point. I mean, if you just traded out, if you spent your 2 last third-round picks on Jake Moody and Chase Young, I mean, and you got nothing, like, you re-sign him?
Yeah,
that's just
true.
It's just terrible optics.
Going to the other side of the ball, Todd Bowles. Warm seat?
I would say,
Mr. Bowles.
I've noticed, no, it's not warm, bro. I know I wrote it as that. I have to correct myself. It is literally a seat that is smoking on fire. Because I didn't know Bucs fans were so on the fire Bulls train until last night after I did my notes. But I was taking a look over on Bucs Twitter. They literally are at their breaking point. I didn't know it was like this. There's literally hashtag fire, but bro, it's to the point where they have fucking fan-made shitty Photoshops. Like it's to the point where 40-year-old dudes are buying Photoshop to make it, so it's getting very bad. Like shitty edited hashtag fire bowls, minimal like little effects added on. I'm literally seeing those all over my social media feed. It's getting to the point where
I think that has to do with our narrative. Like they don't have an identity. They probably should have sold this year at the deadline, and they didn't. And they have some talented young guys. Like you put Yaya Diaby had 3 sacks. Kalijah Cansey has looked nice. Like, but at the end of the day, like Levante David.
That's why you should have shipped out the old guys now. Like you literally already have good young pieces. It makes it even worse when you look at it like that.
Even
it's
if
not
you
like
ship out Evans, you still have Godwin.
Let's call for what it is regardless, though. Why not? Why didn't you ship out both? Because I'm sorry,
they could have got a good return.
Bucs fans are gonna hate to hear that, but honest Bucs fans that know their ball know that I'm being completely serious and that I'm also right. Because the reality is, yes, in football, shit that hurts the most is usually the stuff that you had to do. And that's the shit where you would have been like, that really hurt. But then when we got a bunch of really good receivers in the next, and you actually could have rebuilt it quickly, you'd say to yourself, oh, well, I'm very thankful we did that. But now you're not gonna be able to say that.
Well, the thing is, too, is like Baker Mayfield is playing like pretty good. Like he's at basically 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. Like he's on pace to be on one of his better seasons of his career. So it's like if you are, if you have a quarterback who's playing in the top 15, top 18, it's like the room for improvement is not very big.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because this actually thinks the thing that if I was a Bucs fan would irk me the most, because you're spot on. This is where it gets crazy. Is you bring Baker kind of on a little redemption tour, like really surprising a lot of people. And it's funny because then you get a lot of people saying like, well, fuck it. If Baker's not the future, this is stupid. But really, it's not the issue. What's funny is if you shipped out the guys that I'm saying and you got a lot of draft capital and you go into this offseason with a little bit of money and you got options, you could really have built this O-line up quickly, give Baker a good O-line. But now Baker's stuck with the same boo-boo O-line, minus Tristan Wirfs. And it's like, what are we doing? Like you could have given a QB who's heavily overperforming a lot more help, scrapped the receiving corner out a little bit and built it up. You can build the receiving corps up rather quickly, though, in my opinion. It's like, I'm sorry. It was just that this, in my opinion, was a heavy fumble of the future.
Baker is on pace to have thrown for the most yards in his career this year, if he stays on pace. And he'll be right up there with touchdowns as well, like literally one short. Also, he's kept the interceptions down really low. Like, Baker has played very well for the contract that he was given.
And the Bucs, I'm just calling for what it is. They have minimal run game too. Like, yes, they have a couple weeks this year where they'll show up but I feel like it's very volume based. Like when you look at the Bucs and they'll run for a lot of yards, they also ran the ball like 30, 40 times. You never watch, like, it's never a day where it's like, yeah, well, they just ran the ball for 12 times and panned out 80 yards. Like, it's not like that. Like the run game, you have to go to it a ton for it to be there. It's just the way they play offense is so archaic right now. Part of the problem.
Bucs, sorry, man, just no identity.
They are definitely in the identityless territory.